On the 27th of October, 1948, a strange and inexplicable fog began to form in the town of Donora, Pennsylvania. By the end of that week, over 1/3 of the town's population would be seriously ill and 20 would be dead. Donora is a small former industrial town located 20 miles south of Pittsburgh on the Monongahela River. The borough of Donora is nicknamed the Home of Champions because of the number of famous athletes who have lived there over the years, including Ken Griffey Sr., Ken Griffey Jr., and fellow Hall of Famer Stan the Man Musial. But in 1948, it was home to the Donora Zinc Works and the American Steel and Wire Plant, both owned by U.S. Steel. These factories frequently emitted hydrogen fluoride and sulfur dioxide as byproducts of their day-to-day operations, which resulted in frequent occurrences of smog overhanging the town. However, on Wednesday the 27th of October, aided by unfortunate weather conditions, namely a temperature inversion, these toxic gases were suppressed at ground level rather than being allowed to rise into the atmosphere and disperse naturally. Consequently, the town became enveloped in a poisonous, deadly smog consisting of sulfuric acid, nitrogen dioxide, and fluoride. Residents began complaining of difficulty breathing, and many became ill, the worst affected being those with existing respiratory illnesses. Initially, the breathing issues were attributed to asthma or some unknown pathogen, with doctors working around the clock to treat patients without knowing just what exactly they were treating them for. As the town's hospitals began to fill up, the local Board of Health set up an emergency clinic at the community center and used the basement of the building as a temporary morgue. Meanwhile, volunteer firemen went door to door to offer what help they could and provide oxygen to those in need. Even though street lights were deliberately kept on during the day, attempts by residents to escape were hampered by an inability to see where they were driving due to the severity and thickness of the smog. One resident stated he could not even see his feet while walking, rendering navigation of the town almost impossible. As the situation worsened and the number of fatalities began to rise, the town's factories inexplicably continued operation. Finally, on the 31st of October, and after some debate between town officials and the plant operators, the mayor, August Z. Chambon, ordered the plants to temporarily cease production. It was also on the 31st that a weather front moved in, bringing with it rain, which mercifully caused the smog to dissipate. But by this time the damage had already been done, with approximately 6,000 of the town's population of 14,000 either hospitalized or suffering from ill effects. During the 4 days that the smog oppressed the town, 20 people died, with a further 50 reported to have died in the month following. After the event, many lawsuits were filed against U.S. Steel, all of which were settled out of court. In 1949, after a federal investigation, a research report was published by the U.S. Public Health Service entitled Air Pollution in Donora, PA, Epidemiology of the Unusual Smog Episode of October 1948. The report did little to placate those affected by the smog and blamed the event largely on atmospheric conditions. However, it laid the groundwork for the first Clean Air Act signed into law by Congress in 1963. The Act set new standards for both air quality and for the control of emissions. Later, in 1970, Richard Nixon signed a more stringent Clean Air Act into law, which saw the establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency. Today, Donora enjoys clear skies. Long gone is the industrial presence in the town, the zinc works having ceased operations many decades ago. This is viewed by some as bittersweet, in that while pollution is no longer a problem, the town's economy has never fully recovered from the departure of industry and all the jobs that it provided. A historical marker stands in Donora, placed there in 1998, to keep the memory of the incident alive. Later, in 2008, the local historical society opened the Donora Smog Museum at 595 McKean Avenue. The museum stands not only to pay tribute to those who lost their lives, but to celebrate the town's position in history as the place where the movement for clean air began.